Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror, where we will be reviewing Spirit Halloween, the movie. I'm pretty excited. Joining me tonight, first up from Manhattan, New York City, the man himself, Mr. John Schnars.
Hello, Eric.
Hello, sir. Next up on the show from
How are you?
Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hello.
And last up tonight from the PNW. Is it the PNW or just PNW?
I don't know. I'm not from here, so I'm not sure.
Please welcome Ariel to the show.
Hi.
Where are you
You're
from?
gonna have to look this up, or your neighbors are gonna start saying.
Probably.
Stuff
I've been here for almost 6 years, so I probably should know that.
Where are you from originally?
Oakland,
Oh,
California.
I gotcha. So still West Coast.
Yep.
Got it. John, when they write the obituary, like when the next group of people after us, right, are like
I was like, where are you going?
when
with
they're
this?
when
But,
they're
okay.
when they're gathered around fires and like writing down their history on like stone tablets and
Mhm.
they're looking back on us, do you think that the Spirit Halloween movie will be like the canary in the coal mine of late stage capitalism?
I mean, we've seen worse. I would say, I would venture. But it's definitely, I don't know. It's an interesting.
I mean, is this any worse than Marvel? Really,
Something.
really? When you get to like, as far as money
if any,
making,
well,
as far as money making
got-
enterprises that are like crass and like cynical.
Is it even that cynical? Like, I actually, well, we can get into it.
Well, that's
I
what I'm
don't
saying.
know
Is
if
it
it's
worse than
so
Marvel? Now that
cynical.
I'm now that
No,
I'm
no,
saying it
no,
out
I mean,
loud, I don't think so.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's definitely been worse sort of money grabs /
Yeah.
merchandising opportunity. This isn't even a merchandising opportunity because Spirit Halloween is a retailer. I mean, I guess they're also
It's true.
they also like make things.
It's true.
Like they
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it here. Let's take a quick break and discuss Spirit Halloween, the movie.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
John, when did you stop dressing up for Halloween?
I dressed up last year.
You know what I mean. Like, when was the year you were too cool as a kid?
Probably like 7th or 8th grade, if I had to
Mhm.
guess.
Yeah, I know I dressed up for 7th grade. I feel like I didn't for 8th grade, but I feel like I still definitely went out and like raised some hell, just like uncostumed. I probably.
Well, yeah. I mean, we went out the night before Halloween.
Yeah, see, they didn't do that.
until we were.
We didn't do like
in our
Hell Night.
30s.
There's no Hell Night where I'm from. We just did that stuff on Halloween.
It was called Mischief Night
Well, that's lame.
for us.
Oh,
Mischief
I didn't
night.
even know that was a thing. You go out the night before?
Yeah, and you like do.
It's
mischief.
it's like
Oh,
the
you
right.
don't just
It's
do that on Halloween. Oh,
right.
That's interesting.
We just did it on
Yeah.
Halloween, but I'm familiar with
Yeah.
this concept that John's talking about. Yeah.
You guys. So you guys didn't have Mischief Night. It was not a thing.
No, we just
No.
did.
We
it.
didn't either.
We just did it on Halloween.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was with Eric. We just raised hell on
Why
Halloween.
not? Why not do that and we get candy at the same time? Why 2 nights?
I mean, we might have done both.
Yeah, but then you're just taking up. I don't know. It seems like a lot of extra overhead for me, John.
I don't know. Like, if the alternative was like sit in your room and do homework.
I
like,
remember as a
going
teen.
out 2 nights in a row.
I remember as a teen, we would buy shaving cream, and I know I'm sure I tell the story every year in the show. My parents would be the ones who would like, you got to put the pin in the end of it and like melt the tip around it so that you could like. That's how you shoot the shaving cream. Otherwise, it just doesn't do anything.
Oh yeah.
But
okay.
my parents would do this for
I was
us.
like, what is he doing? Oh.
We were mostly.
Ours was mostly throwing eggs. Just to be clear, it was not.
We didn't really do a lot of
shaving.
egg throwing. I definitely got pelted by eggs from my older brother one year, like pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
But we
We-
never did that
We,
ourselves.
we forked a yard or two in my time.
What is
Sit-
forking a yard?
You get a box of plastic forks and stick them throughout their yard.
What? That sounds like so
I've
much
never heard
work.
of that either. We just did toilet papering trees and stuff.
Toilet paper and trees, really brutal. I mean, eggs is pretty bad too. It's not fun to clean that shit up.
No.
So,
Yeah.
No.
yeah.
Getting up to trouble.
When did you stop dressing up? Do you remember? Can you dig that out of your
I actually think
memory bank there?
I think I actually remember me and one friend that actually dressed up our freshman year. I think that was the last year,
Mhm.
and went out.
Yeah, right.
Well, there's
Like right around the time they're talking about in this movie.
Yeah.
There's a point where it switches back to like you want to dress up because you're like going to like cool kid dress up parties.
Right.
What about you, Ariel?
Yeah, I mean, I think I stopped right around 8th grade, but then I think by my senior year of high school, I dressed up again to go to a party.
Mm-hmm. I feel like there was a couple of years in my early 20s where I was like going to boozy parties where I dressed up, and then I stopped. And then I swear the next time I dressed up was our pandemic Halloween party when I dressed as Schnars, which honestly
was so fun.
brought some of that magic back for me, John.
It was
I'll be honest.
when you're inspired,
Yeah.
it just that brings the magic back.
You always have that effect on me, John.
Yeah.
You just have to find
Aw.
your muse.
That's right. John is definitely my muse. All right, Schnars, please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word is regalia.
Mm.
Regalia. Regalia. The emblems or insignia of royalty, especially the crown, scepter, and other ornaments used at a coronation. It can also be the distinctive clothing worn and ornaments carried at formal occasions as an indication of status.
What does that have to do with Spirit Halloween, John?
I always just, I mean, I
Oh,
feel
you like Halloween regalia, like costumes?
yeah, like you use regalia colloquially. I always have trouble saying colloquially. Oh, Jesus, gotta practice that one. To just mean like costume, like you dress up, like it's when you're going above and beyond. Regalia.
So John, before we dig in here, I pulled a little bit of Spirit history, if you'd like to get that.
I did. Well, I also read an article. Spirit of
Oh.
Halloween officially involved in this film. This is not. It wasn't like
Wait.
a
It's-
clever idea.
You just said an important thing though, because we were just discussing this post show. It's just Spirit Halloween.
Yeah. Sorry, Spirit Halloween.
Casey thought until this movie that it was Spirit of Halloween.
Yep.
I probably called it Spirit of Halloween as well, but then I saw the movie title was Spirit Halloween : the movie.
50% of the show had no idea what it was called. That's fascinating. Well,
mean,
did
it's only
you? So
around
do you
a
have
couple months of the
Spirit
year.
Halloween store facts? Because that's what I pulled.
No.
Okay,
no,
so
no.
real quick,
Well, I
I'll-
did read where the original store or where
Real-
the like main store is.
Real quick, I'll bomb through this because it's just kind of interesting color. A man named Joe Marver, John, created the Spirit Halloween business model. Pop-up stores catering to Halloween revelers, starting with his first location in the Castro Valley Mall in 1984. That's like California, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He grew Spirit Halloween to 60 seasonal stores nationwide before it was acquired in 1999. Because I do feel like I remember seeing this as a kid. And then it just, at one point, all of a sudden they were everywhere. And it must have been after this acquiring happened. His approach to short-term leases, locations, and the stocking of widely varied merchandise was novel in the Halloween retail sector. It's worth saying, too, the other boom, like potential boon to this business model was like Toys R Us just going belly up. Because like now,
Well, I mean,
every Toys
malls
R
in
Us,
general, yeah.
but like every
Yeah.
Toys R Us now, I feel like becomes a Spirit at Halloween.
Yeah.
Because those
Well,
stores,
yeah,
those stores are
That's the
just
ongoing meme right now out there is anything that closes down, it's going
Like-
to turn into a Spirit of Halloween.
It's
But
the
though-
meme of them being like
those were kind of
Yeah.
perfect locations because they were big and they were everywhere and they were in every strip mall. Like
It is
uh,
crazy how big a Spirit Halloween is.
some of them, like so the one near me is a little smaller actually, not that crazy. Like, but there's
Even the one in Manhattan, it's a big store for
Yeah.
random ass Upper East Side Manhattan.
today the Spirit network of pop-up stores is bigger than any other specialty retailer in the category, with new ownership expanding Marver's original concept to more than 1,100 locations across North America. Spirit Halloween serves a Halloween consumer market estimated at $8.4 billion yearly, according to the National Retail Federation. Despite
That's
online
pretty amazing for just a few months a year.
I mean,
Yeah.
despite online shopping creating challenges for brick and mortar stores, Spirit thrives with in-person purchases, possibly due to its relatively lower overhead, with seasonal rentals of the physical spaces.
Yeah, this is. So Delaney worked there last year at Spirit Halloween. Over to us, it was in an old Earth Fair grocery store. They don't use the whole storefront like to what John was saying with the bigger stores. Most of them that are around here, they take up an old show. They basically bring in their own hardware,
They, like-
walls, fixtures, and everything like that.
box
They
it off.
build walls out there to box that store off and everything.
Interesting.
And it's pretty much the rest of it's just empty storeroom or whatever.
Well, there's something to the novelty of it, of the fact that it's only around for a couple months. That I feel like that's what it gets me in at least once a year, for what it's worth.
Well, they have so much shit.
Yeah.
And Halloween costume. I mean, I'm fine with buying clothes online at this point, especially if it's like a retailer and you sort of like know how things are gonna fit. You gotta see some of these Halloween costumes because, I mean, I don't know if you all have had the experience where you buy something and the picture online is one thing, and then the colors are off, or it doesn't fit, or it's missing something. Like, there's a lot of really janky Halloween costume. Not our friends at
HalloweenCostumes.com. That's the real deal, John.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Which, P.S., if
But
you're a patron,
I've had bad experiences.
you should check your mailbox to make sure you got your information about the contest. John, what's this movie about? What's the deal?
Well, it's about the spirit of Halloween, as well as Spirit Halloween, you could say. I actually, let me see. I had pulled up a bunch of articles about, because I was more just curious about sort of how they made it. So Spirit Halloween, directed by David Pogue, written by Billy Bates. It is the story of Jake, who, do they tell us how, I think he's like 13, 12? Something like that?
Yeah, 13, 14. Like they're about to be. How old are you in 8th grade? I'm gonna guess. 13.
Yeah, they're in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 14. Okay. So you got three friends. You got Jake, Bo, and Carson. Jake is the main character. Jake is.
I did not retain literally any of their names until you just said that.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at the IMDb page at this point because obviously, yeah. Jake's father has passed away. That is sort of like the notable thing about him. And so he lives with his mother, Sue, played by Rachel Lee Cook, who is definitely sort of like name on the poster here. And then there's like a stepfather in the picture who if he had a name, it is
it's stepfather. His name is he's not my real dad.
Yeah. Jake has like a stepsister, which is like a plot point. Like she's, we can come back to that. I mean, whatever. The other name on the poster is Christopher Lloyd. The movie opens with this set piece where Christopher Lloyd owns some property that has an orphanage on it, and he goes to evict the orphanage.
In old-timey times.
Yes. And there is like a person of color at the orphanage. I mean, a black woman, or I think black, or she Native American. I don't know. She's a person of color, like codified very vaguely as person of color, who then performs like vague curse thing on him. I mean, I don't know. Like if there was actual like detail there that I was missing, like it was very. He then dies, and his spirit is released. We then flash forward to this town that Jake and all them live in, and I guess it's on the exact same property where the orphanage was. There's now a like dilapidated, like whatever grocery store or something, potentially Toys R Us, that has been turned into a Spirit Halloween. It's seemingly out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I don't know if this occurred to you all. Like when they go to this Spirit Halloween, they like ride through like an old decaying factory.
Here's what's funny though, like they're trying to play up like, ooh, it's like an abandoned haunted spirit. It's like
but people are working.
No, but here's what's funny. It's kind of just what spirit is. Like other than the fact that they walk through like a dilapidated like factory plate, like that's kind of what every spirit feels like. It feels like it's like every spirit feels like carrion on the corpse of
I mean,
Toys
that
R
is
Us,
true,
right?
but
Like,
this
that's
one was extreme, I would say. Like,
because once they
do
roll up
want
to it, though,
people
it
to go
literally,
visit.
but once they roll up to it, literally is like the building shape of the old Toys R Us. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it's just funny that they're trying to play it up, and it's like, no, that's just what they're all like. Like, this is
No. But the thing that was just like ridiculous to me is that they had to like go through a fence on their bikes to like get to. I don't know. In any event, whatever. It doesn't matter.
it's mood setting, John.
They are having this argument among this friend group of these three boys about whether or not they're going to trick or treat this year. And Jake really wants to. It was like something that he did with his father. His father was into spooky stuff. He's into spooky stuff. So he really wants to trick or treat. The other boy who's kind of like the jock friend, I guess, sort of, Carson.
He's
I
like a
don't know what-
wannabe cool guy. He's like trying. He's
Yeah.
growing up. He's a little older than them. He's like trying to grow up too fast, John.
Is he old? Like it's
He's
like,
8
what
months
do you mean,
older.
like-
They say that at one point.
Oh, all right.
He has 2 chest hairs.
Important
Yeah,
distinction.
they do make a lot of. There's a lot of discussion about the hair on his chest.
Does.
And so this is the debate they're having. Finally, Jake relents because they decide rather than go trick or treating, they're gonna go break into the Spirit of Halloween store, or they're gonna go into the Halloween store, hide.
John,
Yes.
Spirit Halloween.
Spirit Halloween, excuse me. But they are filled with the spirit of Halloween. That's what's important here. So they're gonna go in, the store's gonna close, and then they're going to come out and celebrate Halloween.
Is that the plan? I actually couldn't remember why they were in
Yeah.
there. It's really funny.
Yeah. That was sort of. It was like, okay, we're not gonna trick or treat, but we're gonna.
Gotcha.
This is how we're gonna celebrate, and they do that, and then that night at 11 o'clock, because for 1 hour each year on Halloween, the spirit of Christopher Lloyd comes out and can try to capture a new body.
Right. He's got to get a new body because he wants to come back to continue being evil.
Hijinks ensue.
Hijinks. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Ariel, what did you think of Spirit Halloween, the movie?
Well, I feel like I should have loved this movie because I really enjoy kids horror movies.
I was like,
Snar's
really?
giving me the weirdest look. Well, just because, movies like Goosebumps or that one that came out a couple years ago that was called like The House with the Clocks in Its Walls or Hocus Pocus, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I really enjoy those kind of kid Halloween movies. I think they can be really fun. And Christopher Lloyd is in this one. And Rachel Lee Cook. I mean, it did make me feel ancient that she was playing a mother. And the last time I saw her in something was like She's All That
She's
when
All
I was
That,
in
yeah.
high school.
That movie was from like 1997. Like,
I
that
just
was
said
a
it was
long
high
time
school, I
98, yeah.
know. But I'm just saying now I'm like, oh shit, okay. And so I thought I would like it. Plus, just anytime a landlord gets killed, like I'm always on board for that.
Same.
So I thought that with the fun premise of like spending a night in a Spirit Halloween store, it was going to be really good. And I think, unfortunately, it just doesn't really come through. I don't think the scares are that interesting. I think the acting among the kids is pretty iffy. But I do think there are some fun moments. Like, I didn't hate it. And I think if maybe you had kids, they would enjoy it. I don't know. You guys all have kids, so you could tell me that better than I can say. But I just think there are better versions of this kind of movie already out there. And this one just feels a little bit mediocre in the end.
Casey.
Yeah, I'm not too far off from Ariel. My biggest problem with this movie is there's zero depth to it at all. Everything's on the surface and they're just kind of cruising through. But I understand too that it's not really made for us. So I've got kind of mixed feelings there. I could see this being a good fit for a starter horror for kids or something. At the same time, I don't think it feels like they're giving kids a whole lot of credit either, though, to give them something challenging. They're just kind of throwing spooky stuff at them and plowing through to the end. The kids' acting was definitely rough. I love Rachel Lee Cook and I love Christopher Lloyd. I would have loved more of them if we could have gotten them both. But the movie's not really about them. And after a while too, part of this just feels like Schnars, you were talking about, it's not necessarily about merchandising early on, but they literally ran the gambit of Christopher Lloyd being every piece of merchandise in the store.
That's
I was
true.
actually 100% fine with that part. I wanted
Yeah, I didn't mind it
more.
either, but
I actually would have been happier with hammier spirit.
I'm
nonsense.
convinced that the entire plot of the movie was reverse engineered from we need to find a way for the shit in the store to come alive. How do we do that? And then I
Yeah,
think they
and
wrote literally everything else around that.
and honestly, and this will be a little spoiler, but as we get towards the end and we see how as he's Christopher Lloyd's spirit's coming into his power and we're seeing what's happening in the store, that's what I expected from the beginning of this. And I think something more like that would have made this a lot more fun, because if you have all of the toys and props coming after you at once instead of one at a time, it's a little scarier and it's going to be a little crazier, a little more chaotic. I like that part of that movie. Once there's some puppet mastering going on, and I thought that was a fun angle, but otherwise, yeah, not really my bag.
Hit me, Schnarzy.
I have a theory that Christopher Lloyd was available for 3 hours
A day. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
And
Well, no.
just-
My theory is that Christopher Lloyd is on death's door, and this is about all you're going to get out of him.
yeah, no, fair. I mean, to say he's in the movie is strong, because
I mean,
he
his face is on
in-
the poster. He is corporeally in the movie for 90 seconds, and then you
Yeah.
hear his voice, but it could have been a deep fake, and you'd never know.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
but he is ancient and he may be on death's door. He looked a lot better than he did in I'm Not a Serial Killer or whatever that was
Dude, I'll tell you what.
a few years ago.
He's killing it in his 90 seconds on screen, though. He's
I mean,
hanging
that's
it
the
up.
best part of the movie. That
the
little
best.
beginning scene was
He
the
is
best
the best part of the movie. Yeah, I mean, look, this movie, I'm not 100% sure who it's for. I think, Ariel, your point that there are better versions of it is exactly right. Like, I guess who this is for are people who love Spirit Halloween, love Halloween the idea, but aren't really into horror movies.
See, I disagree. This is my theory. I think this movie is basically in the same way now, because I think this movie's made for little kids, not even necessarily kids. And in the way that like Disney now has this like just juggernaut that is designed to hook you at a young age and keep you in their content cycle, like, because I think somebody brought up recently, you go into the store, they're not really advertising the movie, because I think the whole point is the other way around. I think the whole point is basically to like indoctrinate young kids to be like Spirit Halloween,
Oh,
like
alright.
to embed that nostalgia in a child
So
before they've ever been to a Spirit Halloween.
that may be what they thought they were doing with this movie. Here are the issues. Where are these kids gonna see this movie? It's not widely available or being marketed like super aggressively to kids. It's not
Right.
on Disney Plus. If you wanted that, you would have this on one
Well,
of the main
you're presuming that they had enough money to actually do what they were trying to do, which they clearly
Totally.
didn't.
I mean, I don't know. They got this $8 billion Halloween market they're attacking. Like, you
Well,
gotta have some cash.
But
in
again,
there.
it's fuzzy. Like the provenance of this movie is confusing. Like there are 4 to 5 production company slates in front of this movie. You've never heard of a single one of them. And like,
No, I did. I looked up the main one, the one that comes up first.
so did these people buy the license from them, or were they hey, let's make a
Spirit
movie?
Halloween paid for this.
Yeah, the funny thing is,
interesting.
like, I do
mean,
agree. If you're gonna do it, why not put more money behind it? Especially with all the money you're rolling in. Like, it's not gonna cost that much more to beef this thing up some more.
I mean, it's just not great, right? Like I mean, and not that it needs to be great, or not that I expected it to be great, but look, the acting is really bad. The biggest problem, I actually was mostly fine. The biggest problem is the main kid, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's
He's the worst part of the movie.
he's really bad. Part of it, I think, is the writing, because he is asked to play very emotional. Like it's. I mean, teenagers are emotional. That's like not weird, I guess, but it's not great.
I'm still emotional, Joe.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think because the emotional part of the story, like the emotional arc of it, is about him coming to terms with the fact that his father died, right? And them sort of fighting and coming to terms with the fact that they're getting older. But I think that the writing of the script and then the acting are just not good enough to support that kind of plot line.
Yeah.
Well, just really quick, like the thought that there was a love story here, or
I loved what they
Yeah.
did. I love how they subverted in the end, though. Honestly, like,
Yeah.
she's one of the better parts of the movie. The girl.
100%. Yeah.
Here's my one question, mostly for Ariel, but also, I mean, you all can weigh in. The movie felt a little retrograde to me in that it was these like three boys. It was very patriarchal. Like it was very sort of like this movie felt like it was made in a time where we just like haven't progressed as a society to a certain extent. I don't know. Maybe that's me overreading it, but I was a little like, all right, are we still doing movies
again,
with,
though,
like,
I think
three
they
teen boys?
at
Like,
least subverted in the end, where like he's like, she's my girlfriend, and then she's like, yeah, that's not a thing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I
kinda
mean,
like
I
that.
appreciated that because I kind of thought it was going to be the other way around, where he would like inflict a kiss on this girl, and all of a sudden she'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm into you." So I was happy that that didn't happen. I think
Yeah.
I kind of
if that
understand
had
what you're
happened,
saying.
I would have been like, get the fuck out of here. Just
Yeah,
done.
because not only is she older, but she's more savvy and like way cooler than these
She's
kids. So it
way
wouldn't-
out of his league.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
just to be
yeah.
clear.
But I do think that you're right that there's something about it that feels a little bit like 80s. I'm not sure I can put my finger on
Well-
it.
But
I
not
do
in
think
like
that
the
they were
fun
kind of-
80s
No, but
way.
because-
I mean, I think that they wanted to reference the Goonies maybe a little bit, especially in that
Yeah.
scene where they're down under the store in the caves, you know, mulling
Hundred
around.
Oh, yeah.
percent, 100% Goonies. Yeah.
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 I mean, so I think what you're picking up on, everybody's like, it's like low budget Amblin porn, right?
Yeah,
Now-
that's 100%
now,
what they're trying to do.
from the score to the references to the group of kids, they're riding their bikes around the neighborhood, right? It's like it's like if J.J. Abrams makes the meth of Amblin porn, this is like herbal tea version. Like,
Yeah. There's definitely a Hallmark movie quality
dude,
to this.
well, here's
Yeah, it
what's
feels
fun.
very made for TV.
This is the closest I've ever come to understanding why somebody like Joe really likes Hallmark movies.
Mhm.
Like, because that's kind of what this is. Like, if they just made Hallmark horror movies, Halloween movies like this every year, I feel like I could get into that groove for a few weeks a year or something.
Yeah.
There
totally.
probably are. I
Here's
mean, you
here's
could
what an
look into that.
interesting thing to me about watching this movie this week, juxtapositioning up against Halloween Ends. You know what the difference is for me, John? I can discern the motivations of everyone in this movie, and they make sense to me. And I found that so refreshing. Like, and I can
You mean
do-
because they told you what their motivations were?
I can do that because
directly?
the script is very like someone studied all of these movies. It's like very script writing 101, but it's just like simple. And I don't know, maybe I'm in like I had a stomach bug for 2 days. I might just be delirious. I didn't have a problem with the acting. I went in with like rock bottom expectations, and I was like, this is pretty pleasant and like not offensive. Although it's funny, like Ariel, you kind of ruined it slightly for me when you brought up Goosebumps, because I was like, oh right, like those movies are similar in that they're kind of made for young kids, but they're although scarier than this movie. Like that movie, I think you
true.
could show this movie to a younger kid than Goosebumps, but there's money behind Goosebumps, and those movies are very visually stunning. There's a lot of like a ton of creature effects and atmosphere that's kind of
Oh, yeah.
missing. Like you feel the limitation of the budget here.
Yeah, because I think I really expected the store itself to have like a haunted house feel to it, just because you have all the elements there, and I don't think they really accomplished that. For me, the best scene was when they're underground and the littlest kid fries the Grim Reaper animatronic with the fire.
Yeah.
I thought that was
See,
really
I was
fun.
actually pretty
That
impressed.
was 1/3 of the budget, actually.
I was actually pretty impressed by how much they do in the store. Like they actually, I think,
Yeah.
make it feel bigger than it is. Like not huge, but like they
It
find,
felt exactly like a Spirit Halloween.
but they find way more like set pieces than I would have expected, and also in the scenes where they're like fighting something and the camera's tracking them around, like there's just a lot. There's a lot of they make, I think, really good use of the real estate, even though it is limited.
Eric,
It is.
I am worried about your mental health.
I mean, you're not wrong. It is it is like so saccharine and so like wholesome, like in a funny kind of way. Like it is very surreal seeing Rachel Lee Cook as mother, and I was like, oh, yep, still have a crush
I think
on you.
she's been
30 years
playing
later.
these roles for years.
No, I'm sure,
guys.
but
We
like
haven't
we're not
seen her.
we're not
I
watching
guess
those
I haven't
movies.
seen them, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
was
like we're not
disconcerting to.
we're not watching those movies. I saw She's All That opening weekend, John.
Good God. That was we used to play that at the video store when I worked at the video store.
Amazing.
She was on a couple seasons of Psych. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, you're right. I totally forgot that.
Yeah.
My only regret, John, is that I was hoping she never gets to witness anything. Like she's another one. She might have been on set for a week to Christopher Lloyd's like one day.
No.
Like in this
It's 2
setup
days.
of this kind of movie, you kind of because in the Goonies though the parents show up and they didn't see anything. But it is kind of like because I liked her, I wanted her to show up and participate a little bit. But really, it's just she shows up for like her mom moment at the end of the movie.
She's in this movie way more than makes any sense, and I think it's because she's the only actor that has any recognizability. So they're sort of like, wow, we got to get a couple more Rachel Lee Cook scenes in. It's just her driving the car.
It is funny. Like it's a very rote movie. Like the screenwriting is very rote in that like it knows all the beats that it has to hit, and just shouts them at you sometimes. And it also seems to like forget and then be like, oh wait, we got to do this. Like the conflict between. Well, that's not true. I mean, they do set up the conflict between the two friends for a lot of it, but it's very forced when it like bubbles over in the third act, and then 30 seconds later they're cool. Like it's totally fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
and I think some of the dialogue is just like you're right. It's too on the nose, and like they're kind of feeling like they have to tell you what's happening. There's literally a line where Christopher Lloyd's ghost or whatever says, "Just so we're all clear on the rules, I can't leave here without a body."
But like no, but what I would say is though, like, and I don't know the answer because I'm not this person, but wouldn't someone tell you that like that's part of the appeal of those like Hallmarky Lifetime movies, right? There's like a safety kind of or like a
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I totally get where you're coming from, and I actually think you're right because I didn't have a bad time when I was watching this. It just isn't that good. It's a mediocre kind of a movie that I think could have been a lot better. But you're right. I mean, I watch Hallmark movies around Christmas every year. I watch the Netflix ones, and they're all not very good, right? They're all pretty mediocre. But there is something comforting about the formula.
I found something comforting about this movie. I think is what I'm saying.
I totally get that.
You know
was
what?
comforted.
Especially when you're sick, you know.
Well,
I was
yes.
comforted that 1 hour and 20 minutes into the movie, it was ending.
Well, dude,
No.
and hey, counterpoint. It's only an hour and 20 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, no. I mean,
Fun fact, the screenwriter Billy Bates, is that her name? Last name? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Billy Bates. I don't see any Hallmark on her credits, but she has written 2 Christmas movies.
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
There you go.
You know what I would say for like budget wise, if you're like, what's the budget in this movie if you haven't seen it? It reminded me of a Tyler Perry movie, like look wise, like that kind of budget level, but just without his voice. Like those movies are a vehicle for his voice, right? Like that's totally missing, but
There's way more practical effects going on, at least.
well, yeah,
in the
I
Medea
guess. I don't
films,
know.
but-
Did Boo a Medea's Halloween have practical effects? I don't remember if that did or not.
Well, I more meant like Tyler Perry's in costume.
Well,
There's
that's fair.
costumes. Let's put it that
As
way. Maybe not
Medea,
right.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the
It did make me laugh. It legitimately made me laugh when he was in the skeleton thing, and they knocked his head off. I was like giggling to myself. I don't know why.
The way that I mean, I know this is whatever. At this point, does anything that I'm going to complain about make it matter at all? No, probably not. The fucking, I mean, Ariel was making fun of how he had to sort of spell out all the mythos. The fact that there was so much mythos going on, and like how these kids were on, like they found things from the orphanage in this Spirit Halloween store.
Yeah.
There's a whole little house.
Yeah, there's the
underneath it.
underground house.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the other thing I wanted to bring up too, because we talked about Christopher Lloyd and Rachel Lee Cook because they needed the names on the poster, but this has also got freaking Marla Gibbs.
Yeah. Well, so that was the other thing. Back to the like it being a little retrograde.
Yeah,
The like Marla Gibbs as sort of magical or mystical black lady.
100%.
A little weird.
Pretty bad. And did you all stay for the? I guess it was. Maybe it was before the credits. There's like the sequence with her in the little house.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
I did not understand that.
Spoiler alert. Well, it was like teeing up a sequel, I guess.
Is it?
I
don't
think
know.
so.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
They were
Kinda
hoping.
seemed like
Right. I
it.
mean, why else would you do that?
Because
Well,
Marla was obviously the little girl at the orphanage at the beginning, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I think. Do you guys remember in Fear Street, the 1666, the last one? How
Mhm.
once it goes back to the present, there's that whole sequence in the mall at the end where they're fighting all of the, come alive, like creatures, and they have like a really epic super soaker battle, and
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
scene is so much fun. And I think I was hoping that we would get that kind of fun energy more in this movie, and I don't think it quite
I did.
gets
I
there.
did
Well, they-
enjoy the Nerf gun battles.
Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
didn't use super soakers, but they had the Nerf guns.
They did. I just don't think it was as good.
I did the gag where you see the first Nerf gun, and when they're in one of the kids, Carson, I think it's the Carson's room or
Yeah.
whatever, and he's like, oh yeah, that's like aftermarket or whatever he calls it. He's like he tricked it out, and the kid shoots it and it
Yeah.
puts a dent in the wall.
Yeah, that was good.
I chuckled at that a lot.
Oh, Carson was by far my favorite of the three kids. He was the youngest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
the kid.
well,
No,
I don't
he
know.
was the tall
He was.
one.
Yeah, Carson was
okay.
the one with the chest hairs.
My favorite was the kid that was, with the flamethrower and everything, and his chemistry shirt
Yeah,
and
he was-
whatnot.
Oh.
I think he was the cutest. And
Yeah.
he was adorable.
He looked like he was 10, and the other
He
kids
did.
were-
That's
Yeah.
true.
Some of us are small people, John.
Fair point. Sorry, I take it back. What was the other thing? Yeah, no, there were. I mean, there were gags in this that land. They're just
Yeah.
There's like 3.
I did really enjoy the bizarre sight of when the girl is possessed. She's now like hamming it up and yelling things in Christopher Lloyd's zombie voice or whatever.
Yeah.
That was pretty weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of her being the puppet master there that they had highlighted there at the end, and she's sitting out there, especially they have her sitting on the shelf and she's waving her hands like she's conducting. You see everything coming to life. That part's kind of fun. It's kind of exciting. And that's
Why
the only
didn't
real
he just-
tension.
Why didn't she just leave?
Yeah. Because all they needed was a body, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
I was very confused about that. He was
Yeah.
very focused on leaving, and then it was.
Well, they were
well,
locked in.
now, I guess I don't know. He's like a ghost or whatever.
I was kind of bummed at
He's a spirit.
one point. You see the little spirit orb of Christopher Lloyd. Like when they kill a thing, or he like leaps from thing to thing, and you see the orb floating around.
The
He kind
spirit koosh ball.
he kind of hovers over one of the giant spiders, and I'm like, really? We're not going to do the giant spider? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been fun.
But then they do the upside down walking
or
person,
like Exorcist
thing,
spider
backward,
walk
you know.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, he did say at one point, I need something with hands.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, because he couldn't open the door. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you catch? There were a lot of references in this movie that I'm now not remembering most of them, but when they're walking in the beginning, a dude's walking out in like a Five Nights at Freddy's mask. There was a
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what it was.
They did some pretty careful set dressing though. They made sure that there's nothing in there but the Spirit Halloween branded stuff, and
I
because
did
usually there's
notice
a good
that.
chunk of that store that's dedicated to film properties and stuff like that. And they made sure none of that was in it.
Honestly, that's the best part of Spirit to me now is like they've massively expanded the like licensed stuff. I feel like
Oh, yeah,
that's pretty much the only reason I'm going there at this point. There was another character. I'd have to look up the set. Like there was another character with a very on the nose like movie reference title. Anybody else? Any like favorite moments? Non-favorite moments?
I got way too much of Carson complaining about how they're too old to do all that stuff. They were really hammering that one over the head, which I understand. Like we said before, it's not necessarily for us, but they were really leaning on. We're too old for this.
The whole. I mean, yes, the whole thing was everything
Yeah.
was spelled out. So. No, I feel like I've now forgot. Even in the course of this conversation, I've forgotten other parts of
That's
the
the
movie that I was
beauty,
remembering.
John.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
beauty of Spirit Halloween the movie. Is it comes and goes like a fart in the wind, and
It just passes through you.
yeah,
Like a spirit.
like a
yes.
spirit. That's
Yeah,
right.
on November 1st, you will be cleansed of.
It's
all-
perfect.
Yeah.
It's what I need.
I have a question. If this film kicks off a trend of retail establishments, turning into branded film properties,
I mean, there was that board game
what are you
craze.
looking for next?
There was that board game craze a few years ago when it was like they did
Oh, I mean,
Battleship.
come
and,
on.
Yeah, Battleship and I don't know. well, how many more? We don't have that many other seasonal stores though that would make a catchy tie-in.
Doesn't have to be seasonal. What's the Yankee Candle, the movie? I feel like
Does Sharper Image still exist? I feel like you could have a technology gone wrong movie with that.
yeah.
Sharper
Those-
Image, yeah, Sharper Image could, because they're usually in malls. It could be like a shopping mall kind of reboot.
Yeah, there you go.
Look, the
Yeah.
Spirit Halloween, Eric, I think you mentioned that they were acquired. You did not specify. They were acquired by Spencer's.
Yeah.
Oh,
Spencer's
okay.
Gifts. I mean,
you just get
Come on.
attacked by sex toys.
Yeah.
is that what it is now? I haven't been to a
Oh, they've
Spencer's.
always had that.
They've always
there
had
was,
those.
Yeah, there was.
Spencer's is pretty much exactly like it always has been. It's just upgraded to modern stuff.
Hot Topic, the movie.
Yeah,
Hmm.
there you go. I mean, you could if you want to go with the same idea with the seasonal stores. Your only real option is the fireworks stores because those are the other ones that, at least in Indiana, that fill up all the abandoned storefronts.
Oh, come on. What about? There's definitely like seasonal Christmas stores too.
Not as much
I-
around here.
I don't see
No,
them.
I don't know what they're called.
I mean, there's the Christmas tree shop, but that's not seasonal.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I couldn't name another seasonal store, honestly. And that's because I was thinking about it.
Well, that's like when you were reading that description of their business. They're the largest seasonals. It's like, well, okay. There's not that many other seasonal stores.
Yeah.
In New York, the big thing is the seasonal Christmas tree sales. So, because it's a lot of people who live in the city, obviously, like can't go out. Like most people don't even have cars. Like they can't just go pick up a Christmas tree. So every other block in New York, for basically starting, I want to say it's like the week before Thanksgiving, even you get fresh cut Christmas trees that just get trucked in every day. It's
Interesting.
crazy.
Yeah. Christmas around in Indiana, not necessarily just making the joke, but it looks more like the Christmas lots, like from Christmas Story and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of Christmas tree farms around too. So
All right, guys. I know I invoked the name of Hallmark, but it's too easy. It's too early to be talking about Christmas. So, would you recommend Spirit Halloween the movie, John?
No.
Casey,
no.
Ariel.
I think unless you're sick like Eric, probably.
I'm gonna say yes.
If you've had a lobotomy,
Twist.
you should consider Spirit Halloween.
Me and Laurie Strode.
Oh my god. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Curveball. There you go. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
She was the prom queen, but couldn't handle the heat of the moment. Now she's back, and she's still burning mad. Sometimes bad girls have all the fun. Say hello, Mary Lou. It's prom night 2. Next.
Wop babaloo bop a wop bam.
Hello, creeps.
It's John Kassir.
The voice of the Crypt Keeper. And I'm a friend of bloodygoodhorror.com.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back. John, a cool thing happening this weekend for horror fans I wanted to mention. Terrifier 2 is like in theaters. I mean, it has been. I think it has been. But
yeah, it's been. You can see it in New York. I'm pretty sure.
This, I think, is the last weekend, according to what I was just looking at. I'm bummed because just life is not cooperating with me. I'm not gonna be able to go see it. But like, it's in. I mean, I'm not in a major city, and I can go see it at multiple places this weekend if I was able to. So it's kind of cool. I think I would if I had a chance.
I was getting wound up, and then you're just like, there's a movie in theaters.
What? You know what, John? I think it's cool.
I've still never seen Terrifier 1.
I love the idea of somebody going to Terrifier 2 cold because they want to see a Halloween movie.
I'm waiting till we cover it to watch Terrifier. I was going to see Terrifier 2 without seeing Terrifier 1.
You've never seen the first one?
No. We've discussed
You
this.
need to see the first one first, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's important for the discussion.
I mean, what if I watch the first one after the second one?
Sure. That would be really weird, but sure. Because it's 2 hours long, which tells me that there's like mythos happening, which so like you probably want to see the first one first, I would say.
Isn't the point of the first one that there's no...
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of the mythos in the
There's
first
a not I don't know, man. I'm just saying.
Very little plot.
I don't recommend it. I don't recommend doing what you're planning to do. So we are gonna do it. So on the 30th, it comes out on demand. I forgot to write down where it is. Some random site that I'm not familiar with.
Screenbox.
Screenbox. Yeah, I don't really know. What's a Screenbox?
It's
a
another
newer streaming service.
Yeah, I like Shudder.
Gotcha. So it's out this weekend. Either way. This is kind of cool. John, you know our longtime friend Ken, the metal professor? So he apparently hosts a radio show where he plays metal. And he reached out to me to tell me that, so he's got a Halloween show that he's airing. And during all of his like breaks on the show, he's going to be playing my music. He's going to be playing some hi-fi.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, cool.
On his like commentary breaks. And people can actually check it out. So the show's called Mostly Metal. Sunday, so this coming Sunday, October 30th at 8 p.m. Central Time. So you can stream the show live at wvlp.org. It's WVLP. Here's some metal, some hand-selected metal, and then you'll hear hi-fi about every 20 minutes or so. So that's pretty cool. Also, he says, also heard at the 30-minute past the hour mark of each hour, Gospel of Death. He says they're also on Bandcamp. You might like them a lot if you haven't heard. The opening track is called The Conqueror Worm. And then he sent me the playlist to check out, but you have to give it a listen. So that's, Sunday, 8 p.m. Central Time, WVLP.org. Check that out. That actually reminds me, John, that by the time you're hearing this, I have a new song out on Spotify.
I'll wait for my Spotify notifications.
A little Halloween surprise. I whipped up a little song a couple weeks ago. It is called "You and Your Friends Are Dead," which, if you remember, John, maybe
Play
Casey
that for the
does.
family this weekend.
That is a reference to the original Friday the 13th game for Nintendo. Because if you remember when you died in that game, it said, "You and your friends are dead. Game over."
Yeah, and that was 5 minutes after you started playing the game.
Yes, because it was fucking
Every
impossible.
time.
Yes.
Awesome.
Man, yeah, I've watched playthroughs of that game now to like actually see it get beaten. It is wild, like the
I
shit you're
assume
supposed
that's
to be
all
doing.
like whatever the equivalent of what was it called? The thing you put the game in.
Game Genie.
Fuck. Game Genie.
I wonder if
yes.
it even worked on that game. Who'd even know?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was. I think we did play it with Game Genie on at one point.
So check out Spotify HY-FY for a little Halloween spooky time surprise, John.
Guys, I'm looking at Screenbox. It is a very strange mix of content right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I realize they're just starting, but whew.
Well, what do you mean? Elaborate.
Well, they have Terrifier 2. And then they have a lot of documentaries about horror movies. And then like a lot of foreign stuff that looks like real grindhousey, like B movie level foreign. Or maybe good. I don't know. Like I'm not an expert.
I
on a lot
mean,
of,
Shudder's really got that shit locked down. So like, what's left at that point? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm
Right.
gonna have to do a little research because I'm curious who owns this. Shudder is part of AMC.
I feel like Shudder,
Right.
and I feel like Shudder has actually amped up lately their acquisitions because I'm feeling like every week, and maybe it's just a Halloween thing, but like tons of stuff. Like the
Yeah,
catalog's
they've been
actually,
beefing up the back catalog too.
the catalog's actually pretty crazy. I'm going to continue to complain about Shudder TV because it's a brilliant idea that is being executed as poorly as I think you could execute it. Like they will basically put 6 movies on there and they will leave them on a loop for like 6 months. I don't know why. It never refreshes. So like if you're cool with the same 6, like I get it for a week. Why do I want that forever? I don't know, John.
You mean me?
You tell me.
You're
I also
probably
like-
one of like 10 people watching that. I would assume.
I disagree. I think it's well, I think it would be more popular if they did it right anyway. They also I like it as background noise, but they play a ton of foreign movies with subtitles, which is not background noise to me because I can't do other things while I'm watching that. Just saying. Subtitles have a time and a place, John, and it is not in front of my eyeballs ever.
Wow.
Listen, there's plenty of
enough.
people out there who love there's plenty of horror fans out there who love foreign movies. They get lots of love now. So I'm I mean
You're okay. being
I'm
honest
representing
about
for
it.
the other camp. Yeah, exactly. I don't feel the need to hold water for them anymore. They're great. It's not for me. One email. This is pretty funny actually. So Caitlin from Kissimmee is going through the back catalog, listening to the episode for Contagion. First off, is it a coincidence that Gwyneth Paltrow is in this movie and now sells goop, which will probably cause someone to die? I think not. Secondly,
Is there a product called Goop?
no,
The
that's her
company's called Goop.
website, but it's a lot of like very woo woo like
Yeah,
untested health
I'm
stuff.
familiar with
Yeah.
it.
This is really funny. Secondly, quote, if someone came out with a vaccine this quick in real life, I wouldn't trust it or the government selling it, unquote.
That's from the movie?
No, we said that.
Oh.
One of us, she does not specify who said that. And then she's like, I'll let y'all do with that what you will. Winky face. So there you go.
Oh my god. That's great.
Turns
That
out you
movie
feel
was pretty brutal / wild.
turns out you feel a little differently when like millions of people are dying around you.
Mm-hmm.
Could be worse than whatever the vaccine's going to do to you, you know. Speaking of, John, I got to get on my new fangled booster there. I think next week.
I did the probably dumb thing.
You got the flu
Or-
at the same time.
I'm getting both. Absolutely. Come on. What am I?
No, but
a
at the same
wuss?
time.
Yeah.
That's hardcore.
What have I got time for 2 vaccines?
Well, that's where I'm at, but it's going to murder me.
No, I'm getting both. I'm getting them Halloween at like 3 p.m.
So weirdly, the COVID booster that I had, like my symptoms didn't hit for about 12 hours. So I'm trying to,
that's-
Yeah,
I'm
that's
trying,
how it was for me too.
I'm trying to time it so I can like sleep through as much of it as possible.
Yeah.
So 3 might be.
I'm just
3
nervous. It's gonna be like 8:30, and my kids are gonna be fucking hopped up on sugar.
See,
I'm
and it's
gonna
been
lose.
because of the pandemic. It's been a few years since I've got a flu vaccine. I used to get them at work because they would have clinics, but then I wasn't at work, so like I had and I wasn't around people anyway. So I haven't gotten one, but I definitely need one. But I feel like the flu, like side effects from the vaccine.
You never really have any. At least I never have.
Yeah, I never.
I
had
do.
it.
I do,
I got
and
the
I feel like
I got the flu and the booster last year, one in each arm at the same time, and I had 0 issues with it.
will they do them in the same arm? Probably
They
not,
will
right?
if you
Oh,
let me.
will they?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you ask them.
Because I need to be able to sleep on at least one of my sides. I got problems, John.
Yo, I could have guessed when
Ugh.
you were saying nice things about Spirit Halloween: the movie.
Really buoyed my spirits today, John. What can I say?
Yeah, it's very
Casey,
Yes.
what do we got on Twitter?
All right. We've got our hashtag AskBGH. You got questions, we got answers. We only have one question this week, and it's not a holdover, but it's a continuance from last episode. Comes from Matt Schnecky91. Follow up from the Hellraiser podcast. Are you shitting me? You never heard or saw the werewolf TV series? Shame. Google, Wikipedia, YouTube that shit immediately. Cutting edge design, lore, and storyline for the time. I expect a full dissertation afterwards.
Okay, didn't he say it was 1988? I was 6, bro. Casey's the only one who should feel shame, I guess.
Yeah, I would have been about 7th grade, so.
So 1987, that's the one.
I'm also pretty familiar with like obscure 80s stuff, so I'm pretty shocked that I've never heard of this.
Yeah, I don't know. It was on Fox. It was only 30 minutes, too. Interesting. Okay, there you go.
Huh. Yeah, I don't remember that. But the other, I do remember there was, I can't think of the name of it now, so never mind. There was another weird, obscure alien movie about an alien, like Alien Mine or something like that, based off of a movie that was out. That was a weird time for that in the 80s, too.
The one of the first results, if you go to trailers and clips, which is like one of the Google search things, there's a video on YouTube, Silver Bullet fan, 6 hours 22 minutes. It's episodes 1 through 14 and just like one continuous
Oh, nice
video. So there you go. Instead of Shudder TV, Eric,
This is on YouTube.
Yeah,
I once watched like almost the entirety of Tales from the Crypt on YouTube in HD. It's pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. It's the only place you can watch it.
Yeah. Is that it, Casey?
That is it.
All right, we got some good ones on Instagram tonight. Can you believe the UK doesn't have Pearl or Hellraiser out yet? I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know
That
what's
sucks.
going on over there. You guys may want to just like straighten out that whole PM thing first.
Where was Hellraiser? Peacock?
Peacock.
Hulu.
Hulu,
right?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, so what you need is a VPN.
Well, I thought, because I know there was talk, because in Canada, because Hulu's only in the States, because I think Hellraiser there in Canada came out on Disney Plus.
Oh, interesting. Couldn't you VPN and just pretend
Check
it?
out Luca and then
Yeah.
Hellraiser.
Casey, couldn't you VPN and just pretend you're in the US and watch it?
Yeah, there's ways.
Some black,
I mean, if you want to see it bad enough,
some dark web shit.
people can find it.
Best Halloween decoration.
Oh my God, this is Casey question, or potentially Ariel. I don't know, but
Oh, I don't know.
I'm
We've been into animatronics, so.
I'm partial. It's very quaint and cheap, but I'm partial to window clings because they remind me of being a kid.
Window clings are cool. I even like fake cobwebs. Jack-o'-lanterns, they're always fun to carve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jack-o'-lantern.
Honestly, the thing I've been drawn to lately, or like the last year or two, especially since I discovered art, is the old Ben Cooper masks, which are like the old ones from the 50s that
Those
are
are
the
so
classic
creepy.
monsters with the
Creepy.
rubber bands in the back. I
Yeah,
love
those
those.
are
And now you can find places that make giant wall art of those too, like the old Frankensteins and the Witch and Dracula and stuff. I always liked those. Because I did see my one trip to Spirit Halloween this year, they got some re-release Ben Cooper stuff, and they made like a Yoda mask and a Batman and something else like new that came out in those old styles for collectors.
Oh, interesting.
That's really cool. My neighbor just put up a handmade, like 20-foot tall Slenderman. That's very creepy
Oh, boy.
in his front yard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Beat all those assholes with the Home Depot lame 12-footers.
Yeah.
I like the 12. I mean, like, whatever. The 12-footers are weird. Like, the thing is, you have to. My neighbors over here actually have like an insane setup. It's the best use of the 12-footers I've seen because they built a scene around it. I feel like it's kind of lame to like just put one up and have nothing to do with it. I hate blow up decorations. Like that's been like the last decade that became a thing.
Yeah,
like they didn't have
there's
those
a
when we
lot
were
of 'em.
kids. I just think it's the laziest, lamest form of like Christmas, Halloween. I hate all of it. And you're walking by and you just hear the like air blower and you're like, okay, cool. This is great. atmosphere.
It is some noise pollution.
So
for
fucking
sure.
loud.
Yeah.
What's the best thing you ever got at Spirit?
I've been really pleased as a nerd for the last 2 years or so because they got a licensing for Killer Clowns from Outer Space, so they've had some good stuff come out for there.
I honestly go there for like everyday wear. I feel like I bought a pair of skeleton sunglasses there once that I wore for like a year until they disintegrated.
Eric, what?
John,
cool
I'm
t-shirt
living the life
there.
over here, John. It's not my fault. You're
They
not.
do. There are. I mean, there's some good. I'm somewhat joking, but I don't know if I don't really have a good answer. I do enjoy going, but like there was
what's so
good
funny?
10-year period where I probably didn't go.
You want to talk about just like product placement or just the point of this movie? Like while I was sitting here, I was thinking like, man, I won't really be able to go again this year unless I go on like my lunch break tomorrow. I was literally like, should I go to Spirit tomorrow?
You can take the girls.
I'm
like,
thinking
you know,
about
I-
it. Nah, it's too much for the 4-year-old. Like that's a lot.
It is scary. Like I took the 2 older ones last.
They've got that
last
killer
year.
clown thing there with the hammer hand, and like that's a fucking
Yeah.
nightmare. Like she already wakes up a lot.
Well, I can't find. I was just looking for it. I can't. We've got the cotton candy gun from Killer Clowns,
Oh, nice.
the pistol.
Mhm.
Because the lady dressed up as one of the Killer Clowns when she was working there last year.
They've had great, the licensed stuff. Like it's not even decorations, but they've just had great Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street merch there the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Here's a question from our good friend Caitlin from the Plug It Up podcast. Have you ever been forced into a couples or group costume that you hated? I would never allow that to happen in the first place, so no. But
Yeah.
Anyone?
I would have to like drag my wife, you know,
right.
to the store, buy the costume. Like there's just no way.
Yeah, I've never done like the couples costume thing. When I was in, I think junior high though, I convinced my best friend to be Bride of Frankenstein, and I was gonna be Frankenstein for the school's Halloween competition. But I didn't realize she'd never seen Frankenstein, and so she dressed up as Morticia Addams, and it sort of ruined the whole effect.
That's really funny. I remember.
It wasn't like, hey, let me just get a look at what you're thinking before.
No, I should have.
That's
We
good.
didn't win.
This is not relevant to the question, but man, I feel like one of my favorite costumes I ever saw was a friend of mine who went one year as a Super Trooper, and what completed it was that he emptied a thing of syrup and just filled it with rum and coke and drank out of it all night, which I thought was pretty inspired.
Also not relevant to the conversation, but it's the same line as Eric's. I was watching The Connors earlier tonight, the one that came out this week, and it's their Halloween special. And Darlene's husband on that show is a character named Ben, but he was dressed up as Ben Frankenstein, and it was like almost the most amazing thing I've seen in years.
That's so
Is it-
cool because
is it
Roseanne.
like-
gets
As
the best
in Ben,
costumes on the show.
I should say Ben Franklinstein.
That's
Oh.
okay. That's what I was like assuming, like Ben Franklin and Frankenstein. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he had the hair and he had the long hair and everything. It was pretty awesome.
Next up, what is the weirdest sexy blank costume you can think of, or I guess have seen? My answer was you can make anything sexy if you try hard enough.
That's true. I one time saw somebody dressed up as like a sexy version of one of those orange cones that you put on the road.
Oh, wow.
That's
It
so
was basically
interesting.
like a big one of those with like arms cut out, and then she was just wearing like high heels. and garters.
I like it.
That whatever I could think up, that beats it. So
Yeah.
Now that BGH reviews infomercials, any chance on Ronco food dehydrator or Foreman grill shows? Okay, Billy, listen. We're doing a service for people who don't want to watch this movie, but they want to know what it is.
well, here's the thing. I mean, back to the review. This is not like, yes, it is a infomercial, but it's also like, it's the best kind of that. Like, it's not. At no point was I offended that this was cramming Spirit of Halloween nonsense down my throat.
No, I
I
didn't
found it
like that.
amusing that they were, and like I said, I would have.
Well, I don't
liked
need them to do it. I
more.
do it myself. Like as soon as August comes around, I start with no prompting. I go, I wonder if there's a spirit around yet, and then I Google it. Like I don't need advertising for it.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, serious answers for this. How do you want to die?
I mean,
I
in my
mean,
sleep, right?
Yeah, in
in
my sleep.
when I'm like 98.
It's a good question.
I don't
though.
want to see it coming.
Right. So you do you not want to see it coming, or do you want a little time to contemplate before it happens?
Oh, I don't want to know when it's coming.
I
Yeah.
presume.
I'm weirdly scared of it
uh,
happening without having time to think about it, but I'm also scared of it happening slowly, I guess, or quickly.
I definitely don't want to be incapacitated
Well,
for
yeah,
a long time before.
for sure.
That's like obvious, right?
Right.
Like,
I'm much more afraid of that life than I am dying.
Yeah.
All right.
Who asked that? My God.
Question.
Next up, 2 more. Was this movie better than Halloween Ends? Resounding yes for me.
Yeah, I would
No.
prefer to watch it.
Much less offensive to my senses. Last one. What's a Halloween candy that you secretly love that everyone hates?
Oh, candy corn, and I don't keep it secret.
Well, I was
love
just
that
gonna
shit.
say though, I'm
I
not
like
gonna.
candy corn too, actually.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm not gonna accept candy corn for this because I don't believe
that's fair.
people. I don't believe people that don't like candy corn.
Oh no, I just got done saying I don't like
No, I was gonna say I know people that fucking hate it.
I never heard this until the internet came around. Like I never
It's
knew
just
anyone who didn't like
sweet.
it.
and grainy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I once
Um,
saw a meme that was like somebody melted a bunch of it on top of pizza, and I was like, yeah, I would eat that.
Oh, God.
I think
Sounds
other people like them, but
disgusting.
I'm pretty into Smarties, like the one,
Yeah,
the,
Smarties are good.
Yeah.
I really like Necco wafers, which I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
people don't like. And you know what? I'm gonna say probably the most controversial one. Like back in the day, I would get down on some circus peanuts.
Yeah.
Really?
I think that answer qualifies because everyone legitimately
Yeah.
hates those, and I'm like, yeah, okay, fine.
I always used to like those kind of chewy peanut butter candies that just came in the plain black and orange wax paper.
Yeah, like a
wrappers.
taffy.
Oh, the taffy.
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, I always like those.
I mean, I think I just liked sugar and didn't really care what form it came in.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, where do you all land on black licorice?
It makes
I
me
love it.
Was just licorice. For
literally makes me want to projectile vomit just the smell
Yeah,
or sight
not a
of it.
fan.
Oh, I love it.
No, it's like the most, other than like olives or something, it's the most offensive taste to me. Like I can't
You
even
don't like
handle
olives?
it. Oh no.
Ugh.
I also don't care for olives, but I like black licorice more than olives.
I think black licorice is like a
Wow.
weapon of mass destruction. Like it's
Learning so much. This is so
That,
weird.
There's that brand like Wallaby or something, or Willoughby, comes in black package and it's got the little bite-sized black licorice. That stuff is amazing.
Casey, do you like the kind that's salted, that's sweetened? They have
I've
like
had
a-
I've had it a couple times, like within the last year for the first time, and I did like it
Interesting.
serial
because
killer.
Colleen gets those yum boxes, and you get the different countries, and every once in a
Yeah.
while you get some from like Norway, and you get the little coin, black licorice coins. She always just throws those to me.
No, thank you.
There you go.
All right, that's gonna do it. John, by the time we meet again, our calendar year will be over.
I know.
Or our spiritual year. I don't know what you would call that. Or
Let's say spiritual. I like
yeah.
that.
Um
Our spirit of Halloween.
and we will be
Amen.
at that point, usually we're like hardcore focused on all right, like what do we need to get in for the end of the year? I think Terrifier 2 is pretty high on that list. Bodies. And I know we'd plan some other stuff out in the coming weeks, but if you feel like we missed anything too, hit us up.
Yeah.
Here for it.
And enjoy Halloween. I hope you all have a safe and wonderful time.
Yep.
Huzzah.
Ariel, where can people find you?
Oh yeah, good call. Thank you for saying that. So you can find me on the Zombie Girls Horror Network. That's GRRLZ. So we do the main Zombie Girls podcast, and I also do More Deadly, which is focused on women-identified directed horror movies. And then you can find us as ZG Podcasts on Instagram and Twitter, and I post there all the time.
Love it. Yeah, and don't forget new hi-fi surprise music for Halloween, HY-FY on Spotify, and check out WVLP.org this Sunday at 8:30 CST for some metal and some hi-fi. So that's pretty cool. Casey, where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram, cinema.fromage.
Love it. All right, y'all. That's going to do it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.